The Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, episode number 271, on deck, coming to you from right here in downtown Seneca Falls, the North Park building at Academy Square. Excited to have all you folks listening with us at home. Good show lined up tonight. Ed Brewster is going to be joining us here at the bottom of the hour. Ty Richards is waiting in the wings, fresh off his win at Urban Destruction. Brian is joining us here in the studio. I was just watching as we rolled through that intro. We'll never get a shot like that again of Sean Gokenauer. That track's gone. They renovated that complex, so that track's gone. It doesn't even exist anymore.
Really?
If you watch, there's a fence just to the left.
Yep.
And there's up above a concrete wall. The track has been brought up to even basically with the top of that, just about the top of that concrete wall.
Really?
Yeah. I never even thought about it. It's at the Shenandoah County Fairgrounds.
What do they do with it now?
The horse racing organization that's there sunk multi-million dollars into getting that up and running, and then they put in a really, really nice internet system so that they could gamble.
So they probably don't want demolition derby cars anymore?
Not on that part of the track, no. But they built that huge derby pit on the infield.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think the Shenandoah County Fair is taking over the derby this year again.
Cool. Doing
some different stuff. I can't remember for sure. But yeah, Ty Richards is joining us here, fresh off Urban Destruction. Urban Destruction, a good show. We got Spring Explosion coming up this weekend. Bash for Cash is a little over a month away. I mean, it's here. If it wasn't here yet, which I think it was, but it's now here.
It's here.
It is here. Ty is waiting in the wings. Ty, man, how are you?
Just fine. How are you guys?
We're doing well. Okay. Thanks for coming on the show with us. Congratulations on the win. Tell us a little bit about how Urban Destruction went.
Oh, it was rainy and nasty Friday night. It was awful. Derbying in the rain. I hate derbying in the rain.
Yeah, I'd seen they were trying to scrape stuff off Friday night so you guys could have something to run on. It didn't look promising.
No, it was. I think I picked the wrong tire Friday night, but it worked out. I got through the heat race.
What did you put on? You put some like an all season. You should have put on those Mud Swamper paddle tires.
I should have run my flat bead locks that I like to run in the mud, but I just didn't think that was what I wanted. But I should have used them. Right.
I mean, it's so funny that we're at a point in Demolition Derby, and we've touched on it a jillion times before right now, but it's no different than like late model or IMCA racing. It's like what tire compound do we want to run? And what did the track do after they got out there and scraped it? Did it come around for you better on Saturday?
Oh, Saturday was perfect.
Yeah.
Wasn't no dust, mud. I mean, it was perfect. Hard. That track's always been hard all the years that I ran there and went and watched that derby.
Sure. We've seen you run a handful of Brandon's shows, and you've had some success. Where does this one rank in terms of the wins and the success that you've had in years past?
I've chased the $10,000 derby for 10 years, like I put on my Facebook post. I don't put a lot on there, but I finally got it done. I mean, it feels real good to finally get the win at a $10,000 derby.
That was something that was sort of lacking off the resume. I mean, we've been talking about signature wins here and in these premier events as we worked through the spring season, and that really was missing off of your resume at this point. Now that it's on there, is it going to get easier? You know, the first win's out of the way. Now they're all just going to come falling in line, and you're going to pick up another dozen of them in the next 2 years.
I hope so. I got to beat James though. James is always in my way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of one of those things that you got to have a foil, I suppose, right?
Yep.
Coming back to Urban and the qualifying process, with the track as sloppy as it was, you made the wrong tire choice. What were you thinking about your chances to qualify, how the qualifying process was working? how the evening was going. Was it difficult to qualify at that point? Was there concerns about overheating? Where were things like on Friday?
Just Friday night, I was in such a stacked heat with most of them are my buddies, with James and Santel and Holden Jackson and Jordan Brown, another local guy that lives just down the road from me. I mean, they was only taking 3, and there was 5 of us in that heat, and I didn't know how it was going to play out. And James got the Mad Dog, and I think Jordan laid his own wheel over hitting that wagon, and It just worked out where I got through there with a clean car.
Did how long was the heat? I mean, with the track, with the style build, I mean, it's a fairly well built cars. With the track being greasy and sloppy, I mean, it must have been hard to, even when you're trying to pick a shot and take a surgical shot. I mean, you're not going to obviously have the throttle to tire response you do on a good track. I mean, it must have been hard, to line up good shots to try to get guys, axles and front ends. I mean, it must have really had to work for it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you couldn't even hardly hit a car, especially with the caliber of guys that you was running against. You couldn't even make contact with them. You couldn't get to them,
Yep.
Right. How many heats did they end up having?
They had 5 heats, but they only had 3 heats of the metric 80s cars and then 2 heats of old iron cars. The car count was way down as what was I think they had 125 registered and only 60 showed or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but that's pretty close. They had 5 heats.
Why is that?
I don't know if it was the weather or I really couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Wow. Having been on the sidelines for it a bunch of times, derbying in the rain sucks.
Oh, yeah. I will say, though, back in the first real derby I ever ran was at Canandaigua Speedway, and it was after a race had got rained out, and they were going to cancel the derby. Then they said, "I'll let them run."
Oh,
so
no.
It was literally it was at Waterloo. Sorry, Josh, and blew a center section, but then we fixed it. I took the Canandaigua, and I mean, the second derby, I just went out there and stood on it, and it was like on ice, man. That clay got wet, and we were just bumping and sliding, but then I got an idea, so I went up on the infield where the grass was. You could get all sorts of speed down through that grass and then turn down onto the track. I mean, if you're trying to compete and win a derby, it's probably not ideal. But for just me and my second derby, I had fun out there. It was
it
tearing
that
stuff
Ford?
up.
Did you have
Yeah, Trino, blue Trino.
Ty, did you run the year that Metal Mayhem got real wet and they had the mud pushing back up into the cars through the training tunnels and stuff?
Yes, I think that was 2015.
Yeah, I mean that was another challenging one. Remember?
Yeah,
you saw some pictures.
Yeah,
of that?
Yeah.
They had a deal like that at Paradise up here, and there was so much rain coming down that Mike Osterhout ended up emptying his switch box. he took the cover off it and dumped standing water out of the switch box. It was
That's crazy.
It was definitely challenging. Ty's talking about the group that he was out there with. It's hard enough when you're trying to put the power down so that you can drive in a straight line and make contact. But I mean, you're also playing chess with Don Santel.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, just get the struggle over with. Have him get hit with the skid loader one time, and then just give him the qualifying spot because he's going to make it, right? I mean,
Yep.
I've
looked up to Don for years, and we run derbies together now, and he's a super good guy. I mean, he's just watching him over the years has taught me a lot. I mean, I can't thank him enough for just watching him has taught me a tremendous amount about Demolition Derby.
Where did Don end up in the feature? I didn't see his name in the rundown. I didn't think.
He got 5th place.
Did he?
He had his caliper stuck on his rotor, and it just worked that transmission all night. And
oh, no kidding.
Poor deer gave up.
What did he have for a car?
He had a 75 or 6 Buick Electra.
Gotcha. Yeah, I saw the heat lineups, and then I looked. I guess I must have missed it. I looked down through the feature result, and I didn't see his name. But yeah, that definitely is that's a tough group that runs those shows out there. I mean, there's so many good drivers and builders. I mean, there's no easy way in through the heats. There's no easy wins in the features. I mean, you really got to be on your toes to perform well out there.
Oh yeah.
What was What was your combination?
Collier motor.
I had a my car was a 74 Old 98, and it was it's a little different engine than what Jeff. Me and Jeff are real good, super good buddies. We only live 15 miles apart, and I actually helped him work on engines when I got free time. And my motor, believe it or not, was kind of one thrown together of just some leftover parts and stuff, but it runs super good. Me and Jeff were friends before he started building engines, and I was still running my old faithful engine whenever he started building engines, and he finally talked me into getting one, and
that's cool.
They're the real deal. I mean, I really love them, and Jeff, I can't thank that guy enough, and I watch everybody's engine get put together, whether it's mine or Prochaska's or Chase Geezy or TJ McPhee or whoever's got them, they all get the same attention to detail, He builds a super good product.
His business has really picked up in the last few years. We went from, I'd say in the last couple of years, we've seen it, I don't know, probably 5 or 6, Collier's, Jeff Collier. He's got a bunch of guys that run them Topeka now, Blizzard Bash. Muse runs them. There's a few guys out there that run them, and they're a great. I think Ryan Songaluski runs one now.
Yep.
Just a great sounding piece. Great running piece. I mean, they're through the whole thing. And he had a real good. I mean, Jeff had a real good showing at this this show. Like, I think that your heat, like everybody that qualified or that made it through, I think, except maybe Don, had a Collier motor, and then it showed on the rundown like how many Colliers were like in the top 10, and it was most of them, I believe. Right. He's really become, he's up there chasing the guys that have been doing it for a long time. Sure. I mean, he's really, his product has gained a lot of momentum, but rightfully so. I mean, those, like I said, we see him run at Topeka, and they all run well. So, very, very good runner piece.
Prochaska, man.
County fairs around, like everybody around here, around my hometown, that derbies are basically in the tri-state. Everyone has one.
Yep.
You go to a county fair, there's 30 of them there. I mean, fair around here is crazy trying to win, and then Butchie comes over here, and you got Victor, and all of us are at a fair. It's crazy.
Yeah. Santel runs, what kind of motor does he run? I was trying to think of that when
Kohler.
Kohler. I was trying to think of that when I pulled in. Yep.
They're super good engines also.
Yeah. What's Muse won Capital City Carnage with a Collier as well.
With a Collier or a Kohler?
Collier. I'm sorry, Collier. Yeah. So he's had a couple big wins this year.
He's got the Kohler.
Yeah.
It's a different manufacturer. I just heard Ty mention Prochaska. I haven't thought about him in a while. I remember he had a fun run when we were down in Hot Springs. That one year. That was cool. You mentioned the top 10 a bit ago. Brian, Ty Richards, of course, winning at Holden Jackson was second. Trevor Pedke, third place. Clinton Harris, Don Santel, fifth. Corey Buddy, Chase Geese, Jeff Stevens, Bill Miller, Chad Stout, Bill Miller, Trevor Pedke. Watching them finish in the top 10. I'm not shocked.
No,
not at all. Chase, he's another good driver. Don Santel, finishing fifth place. That breaks his streak of consecutive wins.
Yeah, he'd won a few in a row.
Todd Robinson, Chad, Luke Warland, Corey, and Trevor Pedke all coming away with Mad Dog recognitions. Brandon Dixon has a video that he shared of a guy with a two-door with flames on the nose of it, just driving the wheels off that thing. He was sending some shots, and that's a good good bit of evidence too to show how much effort was put into the track to make it runnable. I mean, he was wide open without any trouble, hook it up and stuff like that. You see the scrapers come out, and it's like, oh no, this is it can go either way. If you scrape a track wrong, especially with the moisture, it could go. It could go bad quick. I mean, we've been places where they tried to drag it off, and it just compounds the problem. We've been places where they've dragged the track off, and it worked just fine. Oval tracks and derby tracks, for that matter.
Yeah. I've been more frustrated by oval tracks than I've ever been by derbies. I guess it's I still don't have the years of watching the derby tracks, but oval definitely. We've seen some guys that just. I've seen loaders get stuck on racetracks.
Yeah.
Graders stuck. That's impressive.
I
But no, that's the thing. It's tough. I mean, for a show that big and for everything on the line, I mean, you got to run it. It's not like you can go, hey, we're going to do this all again next week. I mean, it's not. There's not really a good rain date.
Well, that's one of the challenges with like Winter Slam.
Yes,
is Winter Slam, like they've always got a snow date or something, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they've ever had to use it. But
no, not since
God forbid they ever had to, because I don't know if they'd get nearly as many people to come back around. On the flip side, it'd be a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. Ty, how was it in the shakedown, like in the top 10 as far as old iron versus the new stuff? Was there more old or more new in the top 10?
It was pretty well half and half, I'd say.
I like the format of.
Go
ahead.
What's that?
Go. Finish your thought, man.
Me and Santel and Holden Jackson and Chase, I know for sure had old iron. I can't remember if there's another old iron in the top 10 or not. I'm not for sure.
The way that the heat structures at Urban Destruction is they split them.
Yep.
So the metric stuff runs together, and then the old iron runs together, and then the qualifiers all come together in a feature at one time. And I like that because you're beating on stuff that's no surprises out there, and then you get into the feature and it sort of settles the grudge match.
Yeah.
What's better, the new stuff or the old stuff?
Yep.
Do you prefer the old iron?
They're just a better car to start with. I actually like driving a new model Ford better. They're more fun. You can fly around the track and maneuver the track better, but I don't know. I just kind of started with old iron when I first started derbying, and that's just kind of my go-to car.
You had a box style Ford. I'm trying to remember in Hot Springs, and I think that show was 80s and newer anyway. But you had a box style Ford that both of the trailing arms ripped out of that, and you had the back end chucking around. The only thing that was holding it in was the drive shaft. Is that the right show?
Yeah, I think that was 2014. It was actually that car was actually a Bubba Lincoln, a mid-year Bubba Lincoln.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When the nose is that high, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, they all kind of look like a ball when you get down to them.
Trying to dial back 5 years. I didn't realize it was that long ago. What else have you got on the schedule for this year?
I'm going to go 2 weeks from now, not this weekend coming up, but the next. K&B or Jeff Palmer has another one of those 80s and up show in Springdale, Arkansas, and I'll be at that one.
Cool.
Springdale. Has that show been around for a while?
I never really heard of it until last year, and then my buddy Bill Miller from down here at Marion, he went down there. I actually rode down there with him in the truck, and he got it won. And then Palmer took it over this year, and it's a super nice facility. It's like being in a college football stadium or something.
Really?
Cool.
Yeah, that's real cool.
Yeah.
Huh. You said that you run with Don Santel now. How did that come to be where you got inside the fold of Don Santel's world?
I don't know. I guess I earned my respect.
That's cool.
I mean, that's not a bad reason, I guess.
No. And Don's a good guy. I try to talk to him whenever we go to Topeka if he's not too busy. And he is. He's real soft spoken and so smart. And we've stood there and talked. And I've learned stuff just from talking to him. And like Ty said, I mean, watching him drive is he doesn't make mistakes. It's very, very rare to see Don Santel make a mistake. So he's definitely a good guy to be running with and learning from. I mean you're definitely learning from one of the best there.
I guess one of the reasons we became good friends is because me and James are good buddies, and James actually builds derby cars at my house. And James and Don always lived real close together, and they was always friends through the years. And
cool.
I guess that's how we got all tied up together.
That's cool.
I mean, how long did it take before you started learning things that you never even thought that you didn't know in terms of being around Don and watching him build cars?
I don't know. His car's just a work of art. If you look at it, the attention to detail is crazy, and I try to keep up with it. I think I'm close, but not quite there yet. I mean, he just builds a super car.
Right.
I know how much time I spend in the shop, and he's got to spend more because I think I got a little more help coming over and helping me, and I don't think he's got all that help. So.
But his build process is pretty methodical too, right? I mean, he's not sitting in the garage doing things 2 or 3 times. It's pretty specific in terms of his approach.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my car at Urban, I never started that car, never did nothing until I had the hood bolted down. I knew whenever I bolted that hood down, it was ready to go. I mean, I drove it straight on the trailer. I never even really test drove it.
Yep, I do that, but it's not for shows quite that big. That's awesome.
Some more results from Urban Destruction. Dustin Burkett winning in the trucks over Ray Hagedorn. Josh Berg was third. Joseph Hicks and Bill Bennett in the top 5. Dustin Burkett, again, winning the Mad Dog Award in the trucks at Urban Destruction. The compact side of things, Wyatt Holstein, I think is how you say that. Wyatt Holstein in the compacts, Brandon Fisher, Eric Fisher, Trey Ramsey, and Juan Velasquez coming away with the top 5, and Juan also taking the Mad Dog Award in the compact side of things, and then rounding it out in the bone stock, Wes Gargas winning that one. Dustin Richel taking second. Jesse Gargas, Trevor Smith, William Edwards through your top 5. A couple Mad Dog Awards, Clinton Bozarth and Dan Woodall in the top 5 there. And as we said, Ty Richards winning over Holden Jackson and Trevor Pedke in the top 3 in the main class at Urban Destruction. After you get done with Arkansas, what's the plan from there? You going to be running a lot this summer locally?
Well, I still got my pre-ran car that I built for Dixon last year, that wagon.
Right.
And I got this pre-ran car I just won. Yeah, I'd say I'll be running around the house quite a bit, but I'll probably go to all of Palmer's shows. He's got 5 of them down there. I think there's one in Missouri and the rest in Arkansas, and he's running a little points deal. I think I'll probably go to all of those derbies.
That's cool. And there's more of those that are cropping up.
Yeah.
The struggle with those is making sure that you space it out and you give the guys a set of rules so that they don't have to build a new car every time out.
Yeah.
And that is if you get, you start running events where there's 10 derbies that you got to get through, it's not good.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Every one of them cars for Palmer's, they'll be a fresh car because they're bone stock. I mean, they'll be destroyed.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is that part too, right?
Yeah. Would you rather have a heavier built car to where you could, minor fixes and you could run it throughout the summer, or would you rather build fresh?
Actually, the rules Dixon has, his metric old school, that's pretty well how I started when I started Derby, and that's kind of how the rules were at the time, and that's really what I want to stick with. I mean, even when Torrey had Mayhem and Spring Explosion there, 2010 to 2014, I really like that set of rules, and that's basically what Brandon has now, and that's pretty well my go-to set of rules. And you usually get a couple runs out of a car. Yeah.
That's cool. Are you running Mayhem this year?
No, I'm not. I wanted to, and then, I don't know, I'm kind of hooked on these Arkansas derbies this year, I guess.
That's cool.
Well, you can't go. What's the Arkansas atmosphere like? I mean, we always talk about what the county fair scenes are. You get a little bit more to the central part of the United States, and they have mod cars pretty much every time out. You get to Ohio, it's sort of the same way, but then there's been the influx of street stock and more chain and go type stuff that's cropping up there, and obviously the further out to the East Coast you get, it's more stock. What's Arkansas like?
Well, just what I like about it is I get tired of running against the same people. If I go to Mayhem, I'm going to know 75% of the people there.
Yep.
Right.
I go to Arkansas. I know the few guys that I came with, and maybe 5 other people that's running. I don't, it's actually can hit somebody.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, we've touched on that.
The politics is kind of taken out when I go down there. I mean, I know who I'm running with and what I'm doing.
Politics.
It's just, I like the atmosphere. And it's warm down there in the winter. It's warm.
Certainly doesn't hurt, does it?
No.
That's funny.
That is funny. I get a kick out of that. It's like, so maybe we should all continue to travel to Florida in February, right? And try and get more derbies cropped up down there.
Absolutely. Have them all over.
What do you think about the Derby season itself? I mean, we've got more and more of these outlier shows, these one-off shows that are cropping up. All of them are paying good money. Have we hit a saturation point?
I think the sport's grown. I think there 5 years ago it kind of hit a dead spot. And these bone stock cars are coming back, and lighter built cars, and I really think it's good for the sport. And I think Derby's doing good right now. Like I promote four county fairs around my house, and 5 years ago they'd have 5 cars at the race, and I feel as if I've helped bring them back. And
right.
I'm getting pretty decent car counts and having good derbies, and I think Derby is prosperous right now.
That's cool. I mean, that's
good
to hear. That's been a little bit more common, actually. We've talked to a number of promoters and drivers that have moved into promotions where the county fair was just about dead. We've had a couple fairs that have brought derbies back, which, back in the early 2000s, it was just unheard of. If the derby went away, it was gone.
Yeah,
and it wasn't coming
definitely.
back. So, I mean, there's been some of that resuscitation, and car counts have been picking up. Canada even. Some of the derbies in Ontario, they had that big uptick in turnout when Bruce and Impact was really doing a stroke of business, and that enjoyed some of that same resurgence. Even Little Valley around here, Little Valley had a good turnout, last several years.
I think in the Northeast, a little bit of our, and this is just my humble opinion, I think a little bit of our issue with derbies right now is that it's still, sort of a core group that still runs the old iron, and then there's another group that they prefer the new stuff. But with the way the rules are, I think it's the old iron has definitely got the advantage. So I don't know if the answer is to start a class for just the newer iron with better rules to possibly entice people, and then run them separate and then run the old cars. I don't know, but it's just something I was thinking about the other day, because I think it was after we last week we talked about the 80s wire class out to Bash, and how that fills. I think that's probably one of their fastest filling. Those 3 heats fill almost instantly. I'd like to see what a heat like that would do in the Northeast. You know what I mean? Just 80s. Change some stuff obviously, but none of the protectors, no engine or no cradles, none of that stuff. But so you have, you can obviously build them to make them a little better, but you're not making them, bulletproof, so to speak.
Ty, your motor's obviously yours, and that's not going to be going anywhere, whether it was spare parts or not. It's a piece that's going to be under you for a while. But you still need to recycle shells and stuff through. What are shells priced like where you're at?
Where I live, there's so many of us derby, and it's hard to even get a car bought.
Right.
I get a lot of my cars out of Missouri. Dustin Penny, that's where I buy most of my cars from. That guy, that's what he kind of does for a living, and he comes up with a lot of clean new style Fords, and I get quite a few from him. And
cool.
The old iron cars, it's just hit and miss. You see one pop up, you better get on it, or somebody else is going to get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a stash?
I've probably got 7 or 8 old iron cars left.
Yeah. What happens when you run out?
I don't know. I guess I'll have to be like everybody else. If I want to run one, pay the money for it.
They're definitely not getting any cheaper.
It's a good answer.
No.
And it's crazy. To think, what the price that these cars are going for. And I don't know. It's
got to pay to play.
Yeah, I never thought I'd be paying what I do to wreck cars. It's insane.
You're paying significant money to get in a car accident repeatedly.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like I said, I think we've all been there. The guys that have ran 20 plus years. We remember the days when you could steal cars for $100, $150. And you can't buy a bumper for that nowadays.
You're scrapping shockers with good bumpers on it because it needs a set of spark plugs.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I can't tell you how many New Yorker Brome bumpers I just threw in the scrap because I knew that with one shot with that, I'd have the bumper on top of the air cleaner and be done. So, I realistically, I bet you I threw at least 5 or 6 Brome bumpers scrap pile. Fresh.
$500. $500. $500.
Fresh. Not even scratches on them. Just whoop, in the trash. Didn't even think about it. And then cars back then, I mean, I remember taking full-frame Imperials to the scrapyard and getting $65 for them. For a full-frame Imperial. With a rear end and no motor. $65 at the scrapyard.
You live in a part of the country, Ty, where Mopar's a dirty word, right? You never mess around with Imperials or anything like that?
No. When I first started derbying, that was the Imperials and Mopars were pretty well ending in my neck of the woods.
They were what?
They were pretty well ending in my.
Ending.
Just when I got into derbying, Imperials and stuff was just ending at my local fairs.
Yeah, they drove through all the shockers and they were all.
Yeah, I think that's cool. So we talked a little bit about where you're going, where people can see you this summer. We talked about the run and where that ranks. The only thing we didn't do was find out a little bit more about who helped make it possible. Is there anybody that you have in terms of sponsors or friends that helped make the trip possible?
I've got a group of guys, just local guys here that I went to high school with. And they come over and help me all the time. James, he moved on me now. He lives in North Carolina, but we push each other, and I guess we kind of challenge each other to do better. Mm-hmm. And Jeff for building my engines and just being my buddy all around. He's taught me so much about demolition derby. It's crazy. I mean, That guy, he can wheel a car better than anybody, and I think that's why his engines do so good as they do is because, I mean, he's actually a driver himself, but
sure.
He knows the game. And my grandma, she's been a supporter for me from ever since I started. She goes to every derby. She's 86 years old now. She goes to every derby I run. It don't matter where it's at.
That is awesome.
She makes sure I got something to eat. My derby shop's actually in her backyard, and she let me build a new shop on her land. And
wow.
She takes super good care of me. Make sure she stocks my refrigerator with soda and make sure everybody that's out there's got something to eat. And she takes super good care of us all. I don't know if you've ever seen that, like on my Facebook post I made that hashtag Graham Inc. And that's what me and my brother and sister called her for years was Graham, and that's where that comes from.
Cool.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
Have you ever wrecked one of her old cars?
No.
No?
No.
Figured I'd ask. It was always
Absolutely,
a chance,
that'd
right?
be cool.
Right?
Grandma had a 79 cat or 76 caddy she'd held on to. We were going to wreck that.
That'd have been all right? Wouldn't have turned it down.
Mm.
My very first derby car I ever built, I didn't have a battery for it the night before, and she had I don't even remember what kind of van it was, but it had it was an older Ford van, I believe, and I stole the battery out of it to run the derby the next day.
That's awesome.
When I was still in high school.
That is very cool.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Ty, man, I'm glad you came on the show and hung out with us for a little while. Congratulations again on the win, and good luck when you make your trips down there to Arkansas.
I appreciate it.
Keep in touch. Let us know how things are going down there. We'll be watching Facebook as well, and say hi to Graham.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for coming on, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So real quick, on the topic of Grandma, we had Ray Thurston the fourth on the final round on Thursday, and he had a picture in Victory Lane with a 4-door something, and I couldn't pin on it. It was dark. We got talking to him, and it was he drag races a 4-door 66 Belvedere.
Really?
That he got from his great grandmother, who bought it in 1980. She was looking for something to tool around town. At that point, the Belvedere is only 14 years old. She bought it for $1,300.
Wow.
It had a 273 in it, and it's got I believe he said it's got a 383 in it now.
No kidding.
And he's also working on he just finished his drag car for this year is a 68 Barracuda.
Really?
And he's working on a Dart for his mom, and he's got a 65 2-door Belvedere, I believe, in the shop that he's doing for another guy. Wow. Really big into Mopar stuff.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was a lot of fun to talk to him.
The 273 was the smallest of the Chrysler V8s, but they were valuable because the rockers on them, you could adjust the valves. and it was the only set of rockers that you could do that on.
Really?
I remember when we went to Sportsman, that was one of the things when we were building the motor is that we needed a set of those rockers and, the whole upper assembly. And a friend of my parents, he had it just because he was a Mopar guy.
Let me put you in.
And we ended up having that, and that started adjusting the rockers on the Sportsman.
Was that a shared block or was it its own block? I mean, something that small, when you think about, you're getting up to a 383 is over 100 cubic inches. You got to obviously...
The 383 is a big block. Let me get it straight. The difference between the 340 and the 360 is stroke.
Right. That's the same block.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying is you said that's the smallest of the V8s.
Yeah.
The 383 was the smallest of the big blocks. So there's no way that you're going to get it. It's not this. Clearly, it's not the same.
No.
But when you're looking at the other small block motors that they had available,
Yeah, I would think probably the 273 and the 318 are probably identical. Just
different
stroke
strokes and stuff.
I would guess, but
you know who we should ask that? It's Jeremy Gard, since he loves talking about Chrysler motors so much.
I had no idea where you're going, but I didn't think it was going that way.
No.
I was thinking about who we could ask. There's not many. Actually, my dad and my brother could tell me. They know about that stuff.
Your dad could.
Yeah, my brother, when he ran his straight stock and his Sportsman, he was pretty up on motor stuff because he was footing the bill for the Sportsman. My parents helped out with the street stock, but
so we got a new puppy Friday.
Named him Decker.
And nope, named it Charlotte. And she was hanging out by one of the heat runs. It was warm there, And I had my Guard sweatshirt hanging over the back of the couch. And one of the sleeves was hanging down. And she saw that, and her ears pricked up, and she ran over, and she was nose to nose with it, and growling and stomping her feet. And she grabbed hold of the sleeve, and she pulled it down into the water dish. So I guess she's a Collier dog. but there's no holes or nothing in it, and it's going to survive. And
Good. I hope you have. I hope your female puppy grows and matures quicker than our female puppy, because she is still pain in my butt.
We came home and she stayed in a crate. This was the first. So we're taking a segue. Ed Brewster's waiting on the line, so we still got to do our Bash for Cash spot. We saw pictures of her on one of the Facebook groups, Northeast Adoptions. If you're looking for somebody to support, it's a great operation. They go around to the overpopulated shelters down south, which are predominantly kill shelters. Not that people want to just arbitrarily kill puppies. They got no room and they got to take care of them somehow. They go around and they bring them up here to fosters, and the fosters find homes. It's this whole network, and there's places in Boston and stuff like that. And there happened to be one in Sherburne, and we saw the pictures. And Melissa sent an application in Wednesday, and I was on the final round Thursday, and I got a text that says, "You want to go to Sherburne Friday?" And I'm like, we got to talk about this. So we got to Sherburne around 4:30 on Friday, and the dog had just arrived. She was in Tennessee Friday morning. Wow. Drove up. So she went from a loud pound to being surrounded by her brothers and sisters. Now she's with us. Saturday we had to go to Buffalo, so that's another 2 hours in the car, out and back. So total 4 hours. And then Sunday we went to my parents' house for Easter, and then today was the first day she was by herself in a crate. And when I got home from work, she had a T-shirt that I had left her, that my mom had left her, coiled up, and she was just sitting there very peacefully waiting for someone to let her out. And it sounds as though you don't have that story.
Nope. We probably got to talk to Ed Brewster.
Ed Brewster waiting in the wings. Ed is on to talk a little bit about this upcoming event, Bash for Cash. He's going to be out there, Bash for Cash at the Ross County Fairgrounds in Chillicothe, Ohio, and near at Big Rock Kicker Class, paying $11,000 to win. Is going to be one of the co-headliners, along with the DerbyTees.com Turn Back the Clock class, paying $11,000 to win. The DEC Headers Compacts, $11,000 to win as well. The new class that's been added, the 80s and newer Pro Stock, $7,000 to win there. And each of these individual standalone classes are paying $2,000 to win. The Relic class, which is 1959 and older, the Frank the Tank Old School Wire class, the 80s Wire class, the full-size trucks, youth compacts, compact trucks, and the street stocks. All of it happens over the course of 3 days, May the 24th through the 26th, again at the Ross County Fairgrounds. May 24th to 26th, 2019, online, smashitderby.com. All the action, if you can't make it there in person, is going to be streamed on derbynation.tv, derbynation.tv, of course, going to be busy this weekend with Spring Explosion. You can tune in there if you can't make it out to Derby Icons event coming up this weekend. Ed Brewster is on because he's going to be busy with another type of another type of Demolition Derby action, working closely with the RC Derby stuff. He's fresh off a trip to Ohio where they had an RC Derby indoors, and it was in the hotel, right?
That's right.
So we had the Derby in the
A great
hotel.
venue. Walk out my room, they had me there about 10 feet. I'm right on the job, right next to the Derby ring.
And they did it on the carpet of the hotel, right?
No, they brought in carpet. It's actually a tile floor, and then they bring in carpet, and we just roll it out, seam it together, and run. And we found out this time it was best to run on the back of the carpet.
Cool. Interesting. Yeah, you get a little bit more grip on that, right?
No, less fuzz up in all your internals. Because if you're running on, unless it's like a indoor, outdoor, one of those green carpets, which you probably still do it, all the fuzz and stuff would come up through all your internals.
Sure.
But you turn it over and it's got like a rubber bottom on it. Most of them do. So
right. They didn't turn into wheel standers, did they?
I left there, and then I had a Derby on the interstate in Akron on the way back.
Awesome.
That's bad swipe.
What happened in Akron?
5 lanes of traffic just hauling ass, Chris. Bumper to bumper. Somebody come off entrance there, ramp, and didn't let off.
And it went right through the side of the Explorer?
Yeah, the Expedition, the poor old thing, man. But I think it's going to make it to Bass for Cash and back, I hope. So, anyway, it was a good trip. We did have a good Derby there, but like you're talking about, Bass for Cash is the big focus right now, and it's always pretty massive getting ready for Bass for Cash, and just wanted to get some things out there to the people, so appreciate you having me on this.
Sure.
Evening, Chris.
So how are things going for Bash for Cash?
Extremely busy right now. We're trying to, build bodies, get supplies in to bring the bash, and stuff is selling out quicker than I can stock it. Maybe one of the years, by the time I get there, everything in the truck may be gone. So we'll put that out there to people as well to place your orders very soon if you want it guaranteed for bass.
That's a good problem to have, though. If you can't keep stuff on the shelves, that's good.
Yeah, it's good, but they also expected me to show up with stuff too, and it's like I'm going to do my best, but luckily most will be gone by then.
Ed, you got to remember, sleep is overrated. I mean, if you just work 24 hours a day, I mean, just think of the stuff you could accomplish.
Right now I'm drinking coffee and running overtime myself.
Make sure you're drinking water. I remember Harrisburg when we tried to do that living on coffee thing.
But anyway, really want to talk about the Derby cars for kids here first.
Yeah.
It's looking like another good year at Bass for Cash for this.
Okay.
And it's probably something I look most forward to doing there. Right now we've got 3 and possibly 4 cars coming to give away this year. We're going to stretch them out a little bit. We're going to give away 2 for the national class, 1 for truck class, and 1 for the brand new class this year, the milk trucks.
Cool.
That's
also,
cool.
we are looking for, we need a half sponsorship still for Derby cars for kids to make them all happen. Actually got a spot open with Butch Cisco, Team Butch. He's going in on it again this year. I think this is the 3rd year he's done it now. And he usually supports the same thing at the ECC every year.
Cool.
Wow, that's fantastic. The Cars for Kids program, basically, it's you just go around and you're handing out tickets, right? There's no
Right.
There's no raffle involved with it, so I mean, it's as hard as it is to believe. It's just, hey, here's a ticket for your kid. Here's a handful of tickets for your kid. You got a chance at getting a turnkey RC car that potentially they can run that day.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah, the ones, whatever they win, if they win for the national class, they got a free pass right to the main in the national. And same with the truck and milk truck.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's very
Not
cool.
only can they get it, they stand a chance to win a little money to go with it.
I'd like to see that milk truck run.
Yeah.
That looks like it'd be interesting.
So, we we got Gray Area. Ralph was Gray Area putting one up. My JMW chapter, Sick and Twisted, Daniel Roberts, he's putting one up this year. And like I said, we got a space open with Butch, and then JMW and Crash Course are going to put one out this year.
Very nice. That's going to be a lot of fun. I talked to Rich Fraley. I think that's how you say it, Rich Fraley, and Kyle Consworth, both in the last week. They're having an RC Derby at the Sutton County Fair again. They're having it Thursday night, and they're going to have it in the Expo Arena, so there's a little bit of shelter in the event, in the inevitable likelihood that a microburst will come through the course of that week. Then at least the track's going to be covered, and we're going to be putting down outdoor carpet. So it's otherwise we'd be running on mulch, which is just about impossible. But knowing that you can turn the track, the carpet upside down, and works better on the backside, it's good to know. Appreciate the information.
Well, I tell you what, it's good, but they grip so well on the backside of the carpet that hitting in the rink it's pretty brutal.
That's what we like.
Yeah, it's not.
But that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. You go out to Bash for Cash, and there's as much strategy and precision. You used the word surgical earlier, and it is. The RC Derby out there is just as intense as what you've got on the big track.
I remember a couple of years ago there was a guy that had I think he won it. He had a round back wagon body, painted just like Bobby Whitaker's from Blizzard Bash. And I went and got Bobby. I said, Bobby, come here, you got to see this. Brought him over, and I said, look. I said, what's that wagon look like? He smiled. He's like, that's pretty cool. I turned on and left. But I think that, and the back end even folded like his car does, and it was pretty neat.
Well, I can't remember the name of the father and son, but a couple years ago, Ed, maybe you can fill in the blank, they won the RC feature.
And then won the compact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who it was, but their wagons were, the backs of those wagons perked up just like a...
Maybe that was the same year.
It went up, and the pillars bowed in, and it turned into a scoop in the back, and they were
yeah, like the kind of down by the bumper, like Ohio style.
I believe that was a 2017 Bash, Chris.
Yeah, it might be. What's turnout been like? You're looking probably somewhere around 40 again?
Well, Bash for Cash has always averaged 55 to about 68. We went ahead and put out pre-entry, and I'm suggesting most people hit that because that is starting to run down. There's still 40-some entry spots left at this time, though. We're going to cap it at 65. Over the years, we've learned that, running all these heats and so forth, it just slap fills a day up. Right. And if we were taking on any more than that, we would definitely be running severely behind. So we elected to cap it at 65 this year.
When I said 40, I was talking about the national class. You're averaging 55 national cars.
Yeah, 55 to 60 entries, I believe it was last year and the year before. And then we end up taking like 32 to the main.
So do you have any RC Derby stuff left?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Cool. Did you see the WWE cars?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those haven't been run yet, but I got to get... Alan is really tough on motors.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He is the Danny Johnson of our house's RC Derby world. He is tough on the equipment.
$9,000 Allen?
Huh?
$9,000 Allen?
Yeah.
That's what they used to call Danny, $9,000
Yeah. Yeah. He's got it wide open, and he can drive well.
When we have a kids' derby, they're hitting harder than the big guys.
Alan, now that he's older, I bet you he could do a lot better than he used to, because it used to be his hands were so small he couldn't drive with two hands. He had to hold it, and then he would have to. His hands weren't big enough. Now I think he could probably run the controller where you're supposed to.
Sweet. Start taking him around. He can be your ringer.
And
all the money.
I got nothing.
I just wanted to let everybody know too. There'll be a lot of people giving out tickets for the Derby cars for kids this year. Stop by Gray Area. They'll be giving them out. Run into Butch Cisco. He'll have a pocket full. And, of course, come up to the RC Derby area. We'll be giving them out there. And I don't know if Tim will have time, but I'll hand him a handful and see if he can spread them around as well.
You know what? Now that you mention that, we saw Butch Cisco and James in Auburn, and they wanted to come out for an episode late April, early May. Cool. We gotta get a hold of him and see if he's got time to make the trip out. Maybe
cool.
maybe the Gaskins or somebody would come with him, or at least get him a ride out here. I know James would want to come too. But yeah, that'd be cool because he's got a couple airbrushed cars, but one of them he didn't derby, but the other ones he did.
Yeah, there's one he'll never derby, that one for sure.
Yeah,
the one that's got his
The
portrait.
other one, it wasn't such a hard-hitting paint job on it. That's why he ran that one.
Yeah.
And
Donnie
Bush should
Dana
be
did
running
those.
with us at Bass for Cash this year, too.
Yeah, Donnie Dana did the airbrush work on those. That one's got his portrait front and all the
From his when he was in the service.
right.
Yeah,
Yep.
very
Yeah,
cool picture.
Donnie Dana did that for him. And matter of fact, a couple of these bodies coming this year will be done by Donnie.
Awesome. Donnie's a good
Always
dude.
does magnificent paint work on these things for us.
Very much so. Where are you headed?
Also, things are just going to be hectic there. I want to let everybody know as well. Heats will be starting up Friday. Normally we only run 2 on Friday, but I'm going to pick up with 3 this year. And then we'll run 4 heats Saturday with a last chance qualifier. And Outlaw Trucks will run Saturday. Then Sunday we'll be down to the Concy, and we'll do the Milk Truck Derby Sunday, and then we'll get to the National Main. So it's going to be a very packed weekend.
Yeah, it sure is. You let me know. Let me know if you need any help on anything. I probably won't be able to do anything, so I'm going to be in the camper, but you can always let me know.
Definitely I'll ask you. We can just get you to hand out some cars for kids' tickets would be great, Chris.
You know, in all honesty, because they're going to be down there doing interviews and stuff in the pits, get a hold of Steve. Steve Bucknam. Ask him if and Mark Klein, those guys over with Derby Tees, see if they're interested in any of that stuff. They might pass them out because they're going to be talking with drivers and be all over the pits.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you know those guys?
The more tickets we can give out, the better.
Do you know those guys?
No, I don't, but I guess I'll meet them this year.
Yeah, I'll get you their information when we get done.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Anything else we got to hit on?
Nothing much, Chris. Just a little shout at my sponsors, Cal RC, First Priority Restoration, Ace Hobbies, of course, Crash Course. You're always helping me out. Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
And that's going to do it. I better get back to work, man. Bass is coming quick.
Sure is. Well, let me know. Let me know how things are going, and if nothing else, we'll see you in Ohio.
Sounds great.
All right, Ed. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Chris. Bye.
That was Ed Brewster checking in, getting ready for the Bash for Cash. We were talking last week about how we're closing up on it. I guess it's never too early to start talking about episode 300, right? Mm-hmm. And I got wondering a little bit about it because we had on Finger Lakes 1, Harold Weber had a show, and he started in broadcasting at WSFW here in Seneca Falls. You remember when that was over? I think it's Summit Bank now.
Yeah.
The credit union. He had his final show on Finger Lakes 1 today, and 50 years in broadcasting, which is crazy.
I remember he used to. I think it was Harold Weber.
The dog.
No,
that was his nickname.
Oh, well, this was like back in the day. I think he had a contest on one of his shows. I think it was Harold Weber, and to bowl against, I can't remember, not a pro, not that Harold was a pro, but like one of the things, you could bowl against somebody locally well
Sure.
known, and Harold was the guy, and our neighbor won, and she came down and bowled against him. So that's a name that's been synonymous and with stuff on air forever, literally in this area.
Right. And he started here shortly after we started. He started at Finger Lakes 1 shortly after we started 31st Lap. 31st Lap's first show was October 13th, 2011, which was crazy when I looked that up. And I got wondering about Crash Course because we've been on for a while. We've got more episodes than anybody else that's been on Finger Lakes 1. And as we approach that 300 number, which is kind of cool, Finger Lakes 1 as a whole has almost 5,000 subscribers. And then I looked at our numbers on Facebook. We have approaching 12,000 likes on the page, and there's 1,000 more people that follow the show that never gave it a like, including you.
Really?
You don't like the Crash Course page, which I don't think you probably never got to a computer because you're an admin on there.
Yeah.
So I don't think you ever had the chance to like it, because when you look at it, it's...
Wow, that's weird.
That was funny, right? But yeah,
kidding.
I mean, over 12,000 followers on Facebook, which is kind of cool. I mean, and there's other entities that, like, I think Derby T is up over 25,000, and Derby Nation is 25,000 or 30,000. But still, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah, it's been a pretty cool ride. I mean, we're, like I said, and I've said it before, you know, I remember getting a text from you about doing a Derby podcast. And I'm like, yeah, if you tell me what a podcast is, I'd probably be all about it. But the things we've done and seen and people we've met, and, you know, if it ended tomorrow, I would be proud of what we've done, and I'd be sad that it was over. But I mean, got to be thankful for everything that's gone on.
Yep. There's always more to come. There's always more to come, for sure.
Are you sure?
I hope so.
All right.
At least that's the plan, anyway.
All right. You're not gonna fire me anytime soon.
No.
All right.
No.
That's what I like to hear.
Not what I had planned anyway.
All right.
Anything else we got to hit on?
No, I think we're good, man. I think
cool
we are good.
Cool to hear a little bit about what's happening in Seneca County. They got the new. I was talking to Kyle on the phone. They've got the new class this year, the 80s newer chain division that we were talking about out there at Mash for Cash. I think they're adding that. It seems that they're adding that to Saturday's program.
Is it compacts or is it full size?
I thought it was full size.
I heard it was compacts.
Maybe it is. There was a lot going on. There was a lot going on when I was trying to get the kids corralled after school so we could get back home and everything. So I may have missed some of the details on that, but even still, I think it's going to be entertaining to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd consider doing something like that probably. I don't know. I got to see. I got my Cadillac as far as the shop and started doing some work on it, and it sits there, and I got a carburetor. It's got to get mailed to Indiana, and that hasn't happened yet. So I got to get motivated.
Yeah, you got to get moving. You're running out of calendar squares.
Stuff's coming.
Yep. Well, I guess that's going to do it for us here this evening. We appreciate all the folks tuning in with us at home. Episode number 271 in the books. Congratulations again to all the winners at Urban Destruction. Spring Explosion is this weekend on DerbyNation.tv, hosted by Derby Icons. Thanks again from Ty Richards for making some time and hanging out with us a little bit here on the air, and Ed Brewster coming on. We look forward to seeing everybody again next week. That's going to do it for this one here at the North Park Building at Academy Square. We'll see you next time.
The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.